Hello class, my name is Hector Diaz and today I'm going to be showing you how to cook a classic rice pilaf, which is on chapter 22 of our On Cooking textbook. It's on page 644 and we're going to be following all the instructions here on how to create this. Some of you may say, well, what is the rice pilaf method? And it's basically where we're going to take raw grains from our rice and we're going to lightly saute them with some butter, some olive oil, and some onion. And then we're going to add a boiled chicken broth that I have right here. And then we're going to coat it and kind of season it all together. We'll mixture, it'll be all mixed together, and then we're going to place it in my oven here for about 20 minutes until everything is completely absorbed. To start off with, I'm going to show you what some of the basic ingredients are. Basically, we need 3 ounces of an onion, which is what I have right here. We're going to finely dice that. I have my kitchen knife here. I also have a measuring cup here with me with all my basic measurements. Some of the most important ingredient is long grain rice. For this recipe, it calls for about 1 pound, which is about 16 ounces. We also have olive oil. We're going to need 1 ounce of olive oil. We also have some butter that we're going to use as well, and I already have the exact measurements right here, which is about a half a stick, which is about 1 ounce of butter that we're going to need. And then probably the most important ingredient that's going to give it great flavor is going to be our chicken stock, which I have right here. Alright, so why don't we go ahead and get started. The very first step to do here is to basically heat the butter in my saucepan, which I have right here. And we're going to also add some olive oil to that. So why don't we go ahead and get started. I'm going to open up. Like I said, I've already pre-cut the butter here, which is ready to go. And I'm going to just heat my stove top here. We'll get things going. The next thing is we're going to need about 1 Florida ounce of olive oil. So I'm going to go ahead and get this ready here on my my cup here. I'm going to go ahead and add 1 ounce right there. Pour it right there, right on my butter. And what I've also done is I've kind of pre-made some of the ingredients, and I already have chicken broth already here on my stove top in a larger saucepan right here. It calls for about one quart of chicken stock, which needs to be boiling, which we're then going to add into the rice mixture. So I kind of already have that going there, but what I did prior to that is I basically took 1 quart in here, make sure I measured it, and then went ahead and added it onto the saucepan there. So while all this is kind of heating up, why don't we go ahead and start getting our onion ready. Now the recipe does call that you do have to have it finely diced. So we're going to go ahead and just kind of cut a few strands here. And then what I like to do, just kind of like a habit that I've always kind of formed while cooking, is I'll go ahead and I'll grab my chopper here, kind of make my life easier here, and I'll go ahead and start dicing up some of the onions because, like I said, it needs to be finely diced. Okay, and as you can see here from the board right here, I already have my onion dice, and that really does a good job on it. All right, so I'm going to go ahead. I already have my butter in here, like I said. I do have a stirrer here that I'm going to go ahead and use. It's another ingredient that you also need. I'm going to go ahead and just kind of stir in the butter and the olive oil in here together. Okay, so now that I already have my butter and oil already heated up here, I'm going to go ahead and add the onions that I mentioned we've already chopped up. So we're going to go ahead and add that. You can just hear it simmering in there. It smells delicious from here. Now the key is you want to make sure you don't want to make them too brown. That's really the key item here. So we're going to leave that on here for a few minutes. And in the meantime, the chicken broth has already been boiling. So I want to talk about a few other questions that you may have. Basically, I know we want to answer what type of mise en place it needs to be completed prior to cooking the recipe. So basically, you're going to need to peel the onion, and like I said, finally dice it. And like I said, I use the chopper there as well. And then you're going to heat the chicken stock. You want to boil it in there, and then later that's going to go ahead and get absorbed. Some of the basic ingredients or materials that you're going to need to complete this. I basically have two saucepans here. I have a smaller one, kind of low profile, and then a deeper one, which I'm then going to add the rice to. Obviously, you're going to need an oven. I do think you could also make this on the stove top, but the recipe the book does call it to make it in the oven. So, you know, you could do both things. A stir is important. Obviously, a knife. And then a measuring cup to go ahead and measure all the things. Now, if we were going to make this recipe for about 100 guests, the recipe does yield about 3 pounds of rice, which I would say is enough to feed about 10 people, depending on how hungry they are. So to make enough rice for about 100 guests, you're going to basically multiply all the ingredients by 10. So for example, if it calls for 1 ounce of butter, you're going to need about, to serve 100, you're going to need about a half a pound or more or less 0.6 pounds of butter to make the rice pilaf. You're going to need about 10 ounces of olive oil. Again, this is for 100 guests. And then 30 ounces of onions, and then also, which I have not mentioned, the recipe does call for bay leaves, which we're going to add 1 bay leaf here. So for 100 guests, you're looking at about 10 bay leaves. And then for rice, right now I'm using 1 pound of rice. So for about 100 guests, we'll need about 10 pounds of rice. All right, so I got a good color here on my onions. I'm just going to stir this a little bit here. Okay. So basically what I'm going to do now is that I'm going to go ahead and add the rice to the saucepan with the onion. And again, just kind of like I mentioned with the onion, the key is to not let it brown. We want to make sure it doesn't get too brown. And really the key here is to kind of coat all the moisture and fat from the oil and butter onto the rice, so that then later we can go ahead and add to the pan here with the chicken stock. Butter and onions all kind of mixed in together. Like I said, I've coated it all together. And you can see from there what that looks like. We're going to go ahead and transfer this to the pot with the boiling chicken stock. So I'm going to go ahead and add that right now. Then at this stage I'm going to go ahead and add, I do have some bay leaves here. I'm going to go ahead and add one of those right now. It's a small. Another thing that's very important is we're going to need make sure we have a cover for our top right here, which I do. And at this stage I'm going to go ahead and stick it in the oven, leave it on for about 20 minutes, and then we'll have the finished product and we'll give it a taste. All right, folks, welcome back. We've just finished our 20 minutes here in the oven. I've already transferred the rice out of my saucepan and I moved it into a different bowl here. I have a little rice bowl here that I've already created, and you can just see right there. Just looks very, very delicious. We're going to take a little taste test here and make sure doesn't need anything else. Just fantastic. Just to speak on, very easy to make. It took me Roughly about, I would say maybe 30 minutes with cooking time and prep time and all that to get everything done. It's an inexpensive recipe to make, which is also a good or a plus. Some things that I would do to maybe differently next time, like I mentioned, you could also do this on the stovetop. You don't have to necessarily do it in the oven. So, you know, you could try both ways. And maybe to add some little extra kick and flavor, maybe next time I'll use a beef stock instead of a chicken stock. Well, that's all I have. I hope you've enjoyed the video today, and please come and try it next time.